All right. Good morning, Christina Rizzo. Hope you all are doing wonderfully this happy Friday. Not so happy for me. I have to get taxes done. Yeah. But I'm glad to be with you today. We're talking about Clarence Thomas. So I turned it up as high as I could. Maybe I should turn the volume up a little bit more here so you all would be able to. Hopefully that's better. Okay, so don't forget to like the video. Center this, make this a little better. No additional background like last time, right? so, our great patriot, Clarence Thomas, one of the biggest first conservative, black conservative, and I emphasize race because, as you all know, being a black American in this country, especially when it comes to lifestyle, social status, religion, even including religion and politics, Black Americans have certain expectations. So, Clarence Thomas, being one of the first outspoken conservatives out there, was really ridiculed. I mean, disparaging names, postmodern slave names were usually called, like Uncle Tom is a big common one. During my uploads, you've seen me with that T-shirt document from the documentary by Larry Elder. So that's pretty much more of a compliment to us than anything, because if you knew the history of Uncle Tom, then he was actually a hero. They actually call him Uncle Thomas by our friend Al Sharpton, and I say that loosely because these people are not our friends. And, he had the situation during his Supreme Court hearing, just like all of them, his big case with Anita Hill. Now, it was my first year in college when I wasn't really big into politics like that, but I did remember those hearings, and pretty much in our household, everybody was against him. And, he answer the questions. As far as I know, if I really want to get deep into that, I could definitely go back to that hearing to listen to what he had to say. Nonetheless, he's been a justice of the Supreme Court since then. And yeah, you are, of course, your Supreme Court forever. I can't remember the reason, but it was part of this Constitution American quiz that I took, but it's been a long time since I've also taken the Constitution, despite of taking it 3 times throughout my school years, including university. And so hopefully you all been praying for his recovery. Yeah, he was recently released from the hospital, and liberals are already got their paws at him due to a few things. Due to, number one, they found out his wife participated in the January 6th, and you can see that on the upload photo after I closed the video. I finished the video, the live stream, excuse me. Um, he's sitting next to his wife, so that's why I chose that image, because the story is also about her. Now, the only time I really saw an image of her was during an interview he had with Laura Ingraham. And so and they were sitting, at some college football field game. So that's the only time I really saw the lady. But I'm sure he's a private person, and he really doesn't like to expose his family so much, and ridiculed for supposedly representing the Black community or Black Americans. Well, yes, indeed, he is a Black man. And if young Black men want to look up to him, fine, just like If young black girls want to look up to this Ketanji Jackson, I prefer Condoleezza Rice, but nonetheless, they want to look up to him. But he does not, or anyone in those positions in high government like that, they don't represent one group. And that goes for the Obamas as well. They didn't just represent Black Americans, even though Black Americans had this big honeymoon about them. They represent the country and the U.S. Constitution, okay? People in all these high positions. And he being a great patriot is why he was chosen in the first place. So I'll start with what the Democrats are up to, trying to ridicule this guy. I also did this on my podcast. So I'm going to share as detailed as I can. So it says Democrats fume after Supreme Court sides with Republicans on voting map issue. Okay, and then there's this is from I like to get my news from the Daily Wire or Blaze TV, as you know, and there's a picture of all 9 of them posed and seated there. So it states the U.S. Supreme Court on Wednesday sided with Wisconsin Republicans challenging redistricting efforts from Democrats in the state, throwing out legislative maps drawn by Democratic Governor Tony Evers, adopted by its highest court, according to the Washington Post. Now, Wisconsin is not really considered what you would call Republican state, like Illinois. You can still legally get a firearm, and it's easier getting it there than in Illinois. I think, in fact, if you want to travel north through the Midwest, you have to stop by Wisconsin first by way of going through other states with your firearm. That's what I learned last year in my U.S. Law Shield class. Okay. The Supreme Court granted a Republican request to block new maps that increased the number of state attorney districts with a majority of Black voters from 6 to 7. The court sent that case back to Wisconsin Supreme Court and ordered it to adopt new maps laying out the various districts. You see how how they're pointing out Black voters. This is what I'm talking about with this political bullying and expectations. I'm just going to say what it is. I don't know if I remember telling y'all when I first started voting Republican, and this was back in 2004. What was that? During G.W. Bush's second term. And in Illinois, like some states, if not most, you have to check the party ballot that you want. Even when voting for president, you have to check the party ballot you want. And the first time I went there, it was so funny. We were, I think it was around Obama's term, because I had to renew my voter's registration card. And the lady automatically said, pick your party, and she pointed Democrat. I mean, you can't blame them, because like 96% of Black Americans voted for the Obamas and overwhelmingly voted Democrat, in general, even though these people done nothing for them in the last 6 decades. Let's continue. The Wisconsin Supreme Court committed legal error in its application of decisions of this court regarding the relationship between the constitutional guarantee of equal protection according to the Voters' Rights Act. Okay. So I don't know if they're trying to go back to 1965, or are they talking about the fact of denigrating Blacks that can't get an ID? I don't know what they're talking about here. Let's see. The opinion said, okay, this is a newspaper, stating and believing that it had to conclude that the Voters' Rights Act might support race-based districting. Okay, this is what they're talking about. Assuming that blacks can't get an ID. Okay, so how do they buy cigarettes? How do they buy liquor? You need an ID for almost everything. Sometimes 2 or 3 forms of ID. Like I said, I have to file my taxes. You think I don't have an ID? That included. That's a perfect example as well. Okay. Filling out a credit card, buying a vehicle, renting or buying a home. People don't think about these things. I mean, like no common sense whatsoever. And I'm surprised more Black Americans don't speak out about this, how they're being patronized the way they are. But it's all about going back to that victimization. Okay, so the question remains based on the Voters' Rights Act, as and the court failed to answer whether a race neutral alternative that did not add a 7th majority Black district would deny any Black voter equally in political opportunity based on a majority vote. Okay, and then it goes by the governor, who was also liberal, saying that they're going to reconsider and go deeper into this situation. But it also reported, according to Vox, I guess this is in addition to liberal justices like our dear friend Sotomayor and Elena Kagan, descended from the majority. Okay, so they didn't want to get involved, I guess. So in an emergency posture, the court summarily overturns Wisconsin Supreme Court decision resolving conflict over the state's redirecting a decision rendering after a 5-month process in involving all interested stakeholders. Sotomayor wrote to The Hill. Okay, I think this is also a conservative like town hall. Okay. Despite the fact that summary reversals are generally reserved for the decisions of the violations settled into law, the court today faults the state Supreme Court for its failure to comply with an obligation that, under existing precedent, is hazy at best. Okay, then later on, according to the New York Times, another second ruling that the court rejected a challenge from 5 Republican congressmen who objected it. Okay, and then we have Mr. Evers again as a Democrat. Okay, so they're trying to, not only are they trying to overpower this, we already know what they're doing with the woke thing. We know what they're doing with the gender confusion, trying to indoctrinate the children. And of course, they're trying to overrun Texas as well. And that's why it's important this November that Texans vote, because I guarantee you if Beto wins, I doubt if he does, but you never know. I didn't think Biden will win either, but look what we got. If Beto wins, it's over for this country. I mean, in the state too, it's already over for the country. For the me, it's already out of control until Americans wake up this next election and put some folks with some common sense in here. Okay, so this next story goes into Clarence Thomas' wife threatened to impeach him over wife's tweets. Again, assuming she was with the Proud Boys, with the January 6th incident, or it's not like they did anything illegal. Of course, things went out of hand, just like anything else. Um, but at least there were no burning cities and beating up innocent Biden supporters. Okay. Now, I don't know about that officer that took the stand and said he was called a racial epithet because he voted for Biden. I don't know how true that is, but in the evidence for that, he could have been lying to get attention. Let's see, prove that, oh, see, Republicans are racist. That's the only reason that I would assume he would say something like that. So it says the Women's March wants Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas impeached for a text his wife sent. The latest attempt by leftists to bring down Thomas involved text his wife, Jeannie, sent to then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows following the 2020 presidential election. The 29 text messages were obtained by the Washington Post and CBS News. Why am I not surprised? All liberal media. And show that Jeannie imported Meadows to continue investigating the results of the presidential election. Okay. Help this great president stand firm, Jeannie reported in one of the texts. You're the leader with him, who is standing for America's Constitution. Governance at its best. I don't know what was so horrible about the tweet other than talking about President Trump, which he was thus far the best president we've had. So the majority knows Biden and the left is attempting the greatest haste of our history. She continues, this is a fight of good versus evil, Meadows reportedly wrote to Thomas on November 24th. Evil looks always like the victor until the King of Kings triumphs. Do not grow weary in well-doing. The fight continues. I have staked my career on it very well, at least at my time in D.C. Okay, and then it reveals, and then I'll read a few more quotes here, and then I'll go into what really happened in January of this year with the Supreme Court. The revelations that Jeannie Thomas advocated for the overthrow of our democracy is disqualifying, not just for her as a human being of any decency, but for her husband, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Women's March exclusive director Rachel O'Leary Carmona said in a statement posted on Twitter. Okay, so how come this woman didn't get scarred like Tucker and Charlie Kirk? Because as far as I know, they're still suspended. From that day he was nominated to court, Thomas has always acted less like a reasonable jurist more than his wife. That is to say, a professional conservative activist, this is the same person talking, he is hopelessly compromised, conflicted, and corrupt, and he must be impeached immediately. Okay, so this is all, going to hinder this man's career. I don't think it's going to happen. Going to hinder this man's career all because of something his wife said. Okay, so this is what they're planning in January, and then going back to last year during the January 6th situation. In January 2022, the Supreme Court blocked any attempt for former President Donald Trump to keep records from the House January 6th committee, which is investigating the riot that took place on the date in 2021 at the U.S. Capitol. Thomas was the only justice who sided with Trump on the issue, and the Women's March is now using that to claim his needs to be impeached for his wife advocacy. Okay, why are they doing this? To attack over his political advocacy? Just another attack on conservatives, of course. So we go back during Ketanji Brown Jackson's hearing. You had Cory Booker coming in as she's sobbing. And, he's playing victim with her as if they're questioning you about despite of her corrupt experience with law enforcement and her idea of how she treats criminals. Oh, it's because this country hates you. And then he's going down the list of these different marginalized groups. And he finally says, God's got your back. But yet, when they did this with Amy Coney Barrett and that guy, John, what's his name, that was accused of sexual indecency, I'm not going to even try to, you know who I'm talking about. Over and over and over again. It's despite of his sexual inexperience, he had all these women accusing him of this. Yet Cory Booker had no energy to console him. And we already know the reason for that. The truth, according to Mark Paoletta at the Federalist, is far from what the media outlets claim, and is yet another attack on Jeannie because of her husband. This same Federalist, a member of the list in question, wrote that it is a collection of current and former clerks of Justice Thomas and was created by Jeannie after a former clerk died or passed away. It was intended as a way for the extended of the Thomas family to keep in touch and update each other on their lives. Okay. All right. And then we have others. Oh, yes. It was Brett Kavanaugh. That's who it was. He has his name here with the allegations and accusations of this man. Okay, that's the example they're given in this case over some tweets. Anything to destroy a person. So let's say if I said, same with Roseanne. Okay, with Roseanne case, she gets fired over a misunderstanding. Whoopi, on the other hand, says something about the Holocaust. She gets a slap on the wrist for 2-week suspension. Okay, cherry pick, cherry pick, cherry pick. Okay, in short, it is completely false that Jeannie Thomas was agitating about Trump's loss. In fact, Jeannie sent an email on December 19th to the listserv with a general update on life and added, since early November, I have been on a sabotage for my politics, meetings, postings, and all, which is new and super challenging for me, but makes no sense until our national election is more resolved. So honestly, I think she's going to win this. I don't think they're trying. Look at the type of people that are doing this. But I think that she's going to pull through. Okay? Then one clerk sent an email on January 17th providing an article critical of the January 6th events. Jeannie Thomas sent a separated email on January 18th that began with a heartfelt apology to the Clark's family. Quote, I owe you an apology. I have likely imposed on you my life's passions. My passions and beliefs are likely shared with the bulk of you, but certainly not all. And sometimes the smallest matters can divide loved ones for too long. Let's pledge to not let politics divide this family. Amen to that. What we have together supersedes any of you of your politics, including mine. Okay. So this had nothing to do with Trump's loss. So I mean, as far as her tweets and her responses. So this just goes to show you how we must be. Honestly, I'm not on social media like that because I already know what their goal is. And once God willingly my platform gets bigger, like a Candace Owens, I'm just throwing, or Ali Stuckey, then if my producers allow me to tweet, that's fine. But I probably would try to steer away from social media because, I mean, despite of Trump being on Twitter all the time, even his wife had to, let him know to kind of lay off with the tweets. But I'm rarely on Twitter anyway, unless it's something that I really want to share. Like there was one video about a conservative video of more Black Americans, and then there was a video out, and then there was the Let's Go Brandon video. I forget the conservative fellow's name. It wasn't the Black Perspective. It was someone else. He was on the Candace Owens show too. So if it's something like that, but I mean, I can rarely remember my password on Twitter. That's how much I'm on there. Now I have 2 pages on Facebook, however, and I created a second page because it was recommended. Of course, there's my main page with the number of followers that I have there, and I really don't post anything there either. Um, unless I'm taking a picture with someone here in town and post it so my mother can know I'm still alive. And then there's the media page of my podcast and my website of Red Soul. And I'm rarely on there as well. I just have to figure out how to invite people to follow that feed. And that was only recommended by a small business owner. But other than that, I try to steer away from the whole idea of the political posting a political or saying the wrong thing. And then, I also have a job that I also have to be careful of because once your stuff is out there on social media, everybody or anybody and their mama can get access to it. So that's all I have on this a live stream. Thanks for listening. I really enjoy doing these lives and hope to get better at it. And I appreciate you all's comment. I had a lovely comment from my last about Senator Cruz and the Border Patrol situation. So I always enjoy reading over you all's comments. Christina Red Soul, have a wonderful, safe weekend. Palm Sunday, I believe, is this Sunday. I think Ramadan starts tomorrow evening. If you're a Muslim listening, the gospel of Jesus Christ is also for you. Salvation is for everyone. and then we have Holy Week. And then there's Good Friday, celebrating the death burial, and then Resurrection Sunday the following Sunday. So a lot of exciting things. This is definitely springtime. Thank you so much for listening once again. Pray for our nation and pray for our brothers and sisters under the persecuted church. And I'll talk to you super soon.